That reminds me of, it's Karate Kid, right? It's, you're the best around. No one's ever gonna keep you down. You're the best around. Like, I don't know. I'm going to talk like a kid right now, like a 18-year-old, but that song is low key fire, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think anybody from our generation could get pumped up hearing that song.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And here's what I want to say. Is Karate Kid and all the Karate Kids and all the Rocky movies the same movie? Just kind of like a little bit different?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I think you're probably right.
Okay. And that's why the hero meets a villain. Then there is, the cool thing about Rocky though, is Rocky loses sometimes. I don't think I think like Karate Kid's undefeated in his movies. Is he?
Yeah, except for like his origin story of getting beat up to begin with.
Right. Yeah. And then he comes.
That,
Yeah. Yep.
Have you seen the fan edits or people have talked about how the Karate Kid was actually the villain in that movie?
No, I have not.
If you look at it from a different angle, like the Karate Kid comes in and like steals the guy's girlfriend, the Karate Kid like throws some cheap shots at the other guy. The Karate Kid wins the tournament using a head kick when there's no head kicks. Like there's an edit of the movie where the Karate Kid's the bully, and he's kind of picking on the other guy.
Is there no head kicks in that?
I think that was a rule in the tournament: no head kicks, and then he wins on a head kick.
That's interesting, dude.
Yeah,
that's very. Dude, the shitty part about what you just said is now my entire day will be consumed with finding this out. All right. What was the name of it?
It's fun.
It was Valley, right? It was the Valley. I also heard somebody say something about like the Karate Kid. I think it was a Karate Kid and Back to the Future are set in the same time period. In that, like in Southern California. And so there's a chance that they potentially, Marty McFly knew Daniel LaRusso. So I was like, dude, people can go off on crazy.
Oh yeah. Paths, I love that. I love when people can make a compelling argument for why two movies are actually set in the same universe. I think that's super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, what were your thoughts on the final episode of
Hot D,
House of the Dragon? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I thought that was probably the most entertaining season of anything in that whole genre. There was maybe one episode that was kind of slow for quite a bit of it, but then had action in it. I know, so Hot D and Game of Thrones. The last episode, it felt to me like they ended the episode halfway through. Like I felt like more was going to happen in the last episode. I thought like there just weren't that many big things that happened and not enough people died.
Yeah,
but the whole season.
Yeah, the whole season was excellent, right? I loved it. But here's the deal. Have you read the books?
No.
Okay. And neither have I. But you're invested in these characters, right? Helena, she commits suicide. She jumps out the window. I don't like that ending for her. I want to see her on a dragon tear some shit up.
Yeah.
Right? I want, I also am now, I think I told you this, but I'm starting to cheer for Aegon, not Rhaenyra. And I don't know why. I was a Rhaenyra fan, but halfway through this, my mind shifted and like, she's not in control of herself, but I'm also a huge fan of Daemon in this show. Yeah. Like I want him to be king, dude. Yeah. I want him to be all that stuff. So, my emotions are all over the place is what I'm trying to say here. And I don't know what to think or believe.
Yeah. Dan, I can't remember if maybe we mentioned this last time, but every once in a while I'll catch myself almost like I'm looking at myself from like another person's perspective when I'm watching these shows, and it's like, these are just soap operas with dragons. I'm like, I just
Exactly.
feel
Yeah,
like
you said that.
feel like such a woman. I just feel like such a woman watching a soap opera, and now here we are, like, oh my gosh, I don't like Rhaenyra anymore, and I didn't, I really
exactly.
like Daemon. I want Daemon to be king. It's like I just feel like we're just watching soap operas for men, and you know what?
Is.
It's totally fine. I love it. I think it's really fun.
Well, I'll tell you this. I can remember when I was a kid, and it went in this order. There was like I would watch cartoons in the morning. Then in the afternoon, like there would be a lunch time, and then I would have a rest time after, because my grandma and grandpa were my babysitters. And so there was like afternoon during the rest time is when all the soap operas came on. And so I remember my grandma doing dishes and folding laundry and watching General Hospital was the name of the show. And she was just like glued to it. I like, hey, grandma, I cut my knee. I don't give a shit. I'm watching General Hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. And then there was like Days of Our Lives and things like that that would come on.
As the world turns.
Yep. Then is when it got really good for me. Right. I believe in the afternoon it was G.I. Joe's. Then it was Masters of the Universe, He-Man and the Power of Grayskull. And then it was Jeopardy. And my grandpa always came in to watch Jeopardy towards the end of the day. And then by when I think Jeopardy started like at 4:00 in the afternoon, right before the news. And so they would be arguing about like the answers to these questions. Right. And I didn't know any of them. So, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Then Simpsons, then Roseanne.
Oh yeah, dude. Roseanne was huge, man. Roseanne was huge.
Yeah,
Roseanne was huge.
It was. That show was pretty epic. I actually like. It feels a little depressing. That show depresses me a little bit because it just like I can connect with like the financial hardship. That they were in. Like I'm like sitting there like in a similar situation as to them, and just like that show felt like home to me. Without the like, there was no like domestic violence or alcoholism or anything like that in my home. But just like harkens back to the having no money.
Exactly. Hey, dude, it's Friday, August 21st. School starts Monday.
Yes.
What's the vibe with the kids, man?
I think surprisingly good. I really thought that they were gonna like be more against going back. My oldest, my 10-year-old daughter, she would really rather not. My 8-year-old son, I think he's pumped to go back and see friends.
Yep.
So what neighborhood is your son in?
You mean
no. Sorry, I was thinking my daughter's. No, never mind. So when they go to the next school, then they're not in like classes so much anymore. They're in neighborhoods. And
so she's going into 5th grade, right?
Yeah.
So she'll be in the same school with my oldest boy.
Yeah.
Yep. And so they might see each other in the hallways or something like that. He's going upstairs. He's going into 6th.
Okay, he's 1 year older than her.
Yep.
Yeah.
My oldest boy does not want to go back to school. I mean, like, in all fairness, he's the one who struggles with school the most. He is a free spirit. He wants to be outside, dude. He wants to be moving around, shaking. He's that kid. My younger boy, he wants to be moving and shaking too, but he gets it, right? He knows that he has to sit down and he's got to, do a couple of things before before it's playtime, right? And he still gets the recesses. My oldest boy, I think he just gets one recess now after lunch, and that's it.
It's like 15 minutes long. The recess, air quotes recess.
Yeah, or what I would just call digestion time, right?
Yeah.
And so that mixed with my daughter, I don't even know, she's going into 8th grade. I don't think she's gonna be getting any. I think she might get a little free period after lunch too, but that's about it. She just says all we do is stand against the walls of the building. There's no playground there or anything like that. I think they just get some, like, it's almost like yard time for prisoners.
You read my mind.
Yeah. So
out in the yard.
it's mixed emotions. I don't think I think my youngest and my oldest, they're just like, yeah, whatever. It's got to happen. So we're going to go do it. But man, I'm going to tell you this, Sunday night's going to be rough for my boy. I mean, my gut tells me, he will be emotional and he won't want to go. So, but
yeah,
what do you do, man? That's what you got to do.
Yep. That's right. It's good training for that too. Yeah, Monday morning is going to be a real wake up call.
Yeah.
I when they make the transition from 4th to 5th grade, they start a whole hour earlier.
Oh,
That's going to be hard for my daughter because she's my one that likes to stay up late and she's struggles in the morning. So that's going to make that way harder. I've got a secondary gain. I'm actually super excited because her school is going to start at 7:30 in the morning this year. And my plan is that I'm going to drop her off at school every morning and I'm going to go straight to the new YMCA and work out.
Yeah.
That's my plan. And I want to do that like 5 days a week.
That 4 days a week. That's a good thing. It's almost like what you've done there, because you're going to be driving right by it every single day. Every time that you drive by it and make the decision to not work out, it's going to be like almost a little Kyle on your shoulder going, hey, pussy, like, hey, dude, like you made a promise to yourself and now you're breaking it. It's literally one right turn. It's right there. You can see it.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is get out of your car and walk in. So dude, I'm pulling for you on that.
Yeah. Thanks, bud. Yeah. For the people that don't know, they're building a YMCA on our school's campus that our community's paying for. Our school district is paying for this YMCA. And so everybody in our school district gets a 30% discount at the Y. And that's huge. Like if a normal like family pass would be like $1,200 a year, I think it's gonna be like $900 for all of us. So I think we're just gonna do that, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So
the other cool part, about that have you seen how big that swimming pool is? Like this is where the high school team's gonna. Oh, dude, it's huge. And then obviously, if you're a member of the Y, you should be able to take advantage of it throughout the year too. So,
I plan to
swimming, working out, being active. That's a win, man.
I hope it turns into the hangout for prairie kids.
Yeah.
Can you imagine kids like getting off of school and just going straight over to the Y and just like playing sports for hours? Wouldn't that be good? That's such a healthy, awesome thing to have.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's right there.
I'm sure they're going to have some kind of after school program for whoever it is, doing basketball or pickleball or dodgeball or whatever the case is. So
better just open gym basketball. Think of the kids that will go to that.
Oh yeah. I used to do that all the time when I got into like 7th, 8th grade, ride my bicycle up to we had a version of that. It's called the Rec Center. It was owned by the city, and it was like 2 full-size basketball courts, a weight room, a swimming pool, a hot tub, things like that. It was nice for our small community.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, we don't have anything like that.
No.
Here. That'd be great.
No. Okay.
Is there a hot tub at this place? At the new Y. I gotta look at that up.
Somebody's got to be the hot tub creeper, right? Somebody's got to be the guy who wears the guilty. Somebody's got to be the guy who wears the Speedo in the hot tub. At the gym I used to work out at, there was this old man, older man. I would say he was in his early 60s. And he wasn't ripped because he lifted a lot of weights. I think he was ripped because he didn't eat a lot. You know what I mean? Like one of those really skinny, almost like a smoker's body, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And this guy was ultra tan and he would wear a Speedo in the hot tub. So, one day, I took my daughter to the gym and her muscles were real sore from a previous workout. And she's like, can we sit in the hot tub? I'm like, yeah, okay, bring your swimsuit. I brought my swimsuit and we sat in the hot tub and here comes this guy. And my daughter was like ultra uncomfortable. It's just like first time having to deal with a scenario like this. And, I just played it off because if you feel confident in a Speedo, go for it. like go for it, dude. And this
Oh
guy,
yeah.
he did this, the guy, if you're wearing a Speedo, he was doing the Speedo things. Like he was leaning way back and he's like, hey, how are you guys doing today? Right?
Oh
Good
yeah.
day. Yeah. And I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
buddy, good day. Don't touch my
Was he
daughter.
balding with a pony? I'm just picturing balding with a ponytail.
um, that would be a great description of that person. Right. But he wasn't balding. He didn't have a ponytail, but I can see in an alternate Marvel universe where this guy was balding
Yeah.
with a ponytail.
Yeah.
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 Oh man.
Okay. So what do we talk about last? We talk about contentment, finding contentment, right? That was the last conversation that we had, right? Yeah. Um, Preparing for an event like this, with back to school, right? Any suggestions or like, cause you still work with a lot of younger college aged kids?
Yeah.
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 Is now a big stressor time in their lives coming back to school?
Yeah, it is. It's the main thing that's a stressor for these kids is that it's their first time away from their support system. So this
Okay.
is the time where like boot meets ass where they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, I want all these freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors in high school like I'm an adult. I want to be treated like an adult. I
Yeah.
know better than you, parents. I can
Yeah.
do it all. You guys are dumb. Da da da. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now go live on your own, and
Yeah.
and you go see what your day looks like when I don't nag you to get up, and I
Yeah.
don't nag you to do your homework, and I don't nag you to do all X, Y, and Z. And like, dude, it's like sink or swim.
Yeah.
Because some of them find that they can do it, and some of them are like, they really take it serious, and they go, "Oh shit, I need to be responsible," and they like make sure they
Mm-hmm.
get up and they study hard and they figure out their routines. And other kids just fall flat on their faces because they don't have mommy waking them up in the morning.
Yeah.
It's it's rough. A lot of them find out like, oh, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah.
The other thing that really that happens really often is the students that think that they just can't wait to get away from home. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't wait to get out of there. My family's so dumb. They're so annoying. This is going to be the time of my life. And then they are so homesick.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
don't even have negative judgment towards them for that. It's just they just don't know what's coming, and they've
Yeah.
never really been away from their family like that. And then all of a sudden they're in some tiny little shitty dorm room with a complete stranger, and the classes that they're taking are like 10 times harder than they were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have like one of the biggest ones is if you have a family pet, if you got a dog, oh dude, they miss that dog
No
so much.
shit.
They didn't anticipate that. Oh yeah,
That's
that's a big
crazy.
one.
That's
They
crazy.
they did not realize how much they were going to miss the dog, and they end up missing that dog so much. So, yeah, the homesickness hits in a way that they could have never anticipated, and then they get so homesickness is just a euphemism for depression,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So they're depressed, and they miss their family more than they thought. They miss their mom. They miss their siblings that they hated and fought with all the time. They really
Yeah.
miss the family pet, and then they're just like miserable.
Right.
And then then there's like this decision point that happens within families, and the decision point is basically like, do I come save my kid? Do I come rescue them and like whisk them home and give them all the comforts, or do I encourage them to stay at school and push through?
Yeah.
And I can tell you from my experience, the answer to that 98% of the time is like, encourage your student to stay. You
Yeah.
don't want your kid coming home every weekend because they're struggling at school. You need them to stay on campus so they can push through it. And it's
Yeah.
one of the first life lessons that they learn, and one of the first things that they contend with and overcome is homesickness and being on their own. So like, I
Yeah.
just always encourage families to do whatever it takes to keep your student there. I would say the family should come visit the student on campus instead of bringing the student home
Mm-hmm.
to visit the family. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
You
That does.
you want that student to whatever town the college is in, you want your kid to feel like that's their town. And the
Yeah.
only way they're going to do that is if they stay there. They need to make friends. They need to do what the other students are doing. They cannot be whisked away to home every weekend. That's a really bad habit to get into.
Yeah. You know what's bananas, right? Like you said, stress or homesickness, depression, all these things. And I don't know why this popped into my head, but imagine an 18-year-old just graduating college and then getting shipped off to World War II. You know what I mean? Like, oh, boo-hoo, you're getting homesick at college. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, I hope your feelings don't get hurt. Meanwhile, like other generations, Vietnam, were just like, hey, dude, you're going overseas, man, and you're gonna potentially die. Actually, there's a really good chance you die over there.
Well, for both World War II and Vietnam, the big difference there is that, dude, people were volunteering left and right to go to World War II. Like in World War II, you didn't want to be the guy in your town that like didn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
And then Vietnam, more like you didn't want to be the one that got drafted.
Right.
Those were two very different things, but the same sentiment of like an 18-year-old, like the life problems. You know what's interesting is today's generation, like my kids' generation, I don't feel like they're connected to any veterans.
No.
I know we have veterans of wars. I just mean that like when I was a kid, it was a pretty big thing that I knew very closely numerous Vietnam vets.
Yep.
You know? And actually I knew a lot of World War II vets because my grandpa was in World War II and a lot of his friends were Army vets, and it was like a part of their personality, part of their whatever persona, like these are all World War II guys, da 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 da. So I was connected to that. And I was also connected to a bunch of Vietnam vets, but like I don't know, I know that we have vets, but the conflicts weren't as like big. Like, and what I mean by that is they didn't affect as many people, as many soldiers didn't go to like the Iran conflict as went to like Vietnam or World War II. So like my kids don't have much connection to like to them to say Vietnam. My kids are like, this on a war that happened in the past, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. My grandpa is a Korean War vet. The cool thing about what he did was he was very active in the is it American Legion or the or whatever he was a part of. So anytime a veteran would die, he would go to the grave with a couple other guys, and they would have the rifle salute, where the preacher would say a prayer, and then they'd go fire off a couple rounds into the blanks into the air, and then and it was just the ceremony. Every local parade, he marched in it carrying his rifle and the American flag, or the guys would rotate on how they do it. And it was really, then you hear the stories, right? He would talk to us about like, hey, actually in Korea where I was at, it got pretty cold. And like we were only given, like, he's like, there was times where our rations were low and we only had so much he would tell this story all the time. He's like, we would wipe our butts with our hands and then use the toilet paper to clean our fingers off, right? And then go wash our hands. That's how little toilet paper we were given, right? And so, and he would tell a story. He was a half tracks operator. So the back half of it was a tank, and the front end of it had wheels on it like a truck. He would drive that, tell us stories about how they would take their rifles into church with them and things like all these awesome stories, right? And so I was in on that to the point where I almost joined the Marine Corps out of high school. But back then, I don't think it's an issue now, but back then the guy told me like, hey, you have metal in your knees. We're not we don't want to take you if you have like metal in your knees from a ACL replacement. And I don't think they look at that now as they stop them from recruiting. But then my mom was like, actually, I don't think you should go to the military. I think you should go to college. And then I didn't want to go to college, man. I was not built for college, and I still was not built for college or mature enough to sit down and do that stuff. So but I will admit, I did get, coming back full circle here, I did get homesick my first year of college. So it was, I'd call her and be like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like the first time you sit down in front of a book, it's the biggest, most complex book you've ever read. And the teacher is like, my stressor was economics, right? Okay, we're going to learn about economics. I'm like, I don't give a shit about economics. I don't give a shit about anything that this school is going to teach me. And I forced myself to be there for some reason. And I sat down, opened the book, and that first night of me trying to quote unquote study, I was just like, dude, I am out of my league here, way out of my league. Yeah. And then, you come to realize I'm glad I went to a 2-year school, like in the middle of nowhere, Iowa for my first year. Cause it's the only reason I graduated. If I would have went to Iowa right off the bat, or UNI right off the bat, I would have been dropped out, flunked out, drank myself stupid out of school. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, man, it was, and then I'd call my mom. I'm just like, hey, what's going on? I don't like this. I think I want to quit and come home. And then the second year, she's like, well, just give it one more year, see what happens. Well, just give it one more year. And she pretty much prayed to God every night saying, dude, just let him graduate college. That's all I ask. Then after that, whatever. So
yeah. You know, so a few more things about homesickness is like, so I got homesick too, which is funny because, the college that I went to is like 25 minutes from where I grew up, like, very close. But the funny thing is, another funny thing about it is like, none of my closest friends from high school went to my college, which is really interesting. They all ended up going other places. Like none of my guy friends even went to that college. So a thing that I've seen with a lot of students is, so a lot of parents will be like, oh, my kid has so many friends and my kid makes friends so easily. And oh, he's got like a really good group of friends and he's so tight with his friends. He's going to do great in college. He's going to make a million friends. Mm-hmm. It's this surprised me. It's paradoxical. A lot of those kids struggle really bad because they're used to having really tight social connection and they're used to having really close friends around. And then they go to college and they don't have that. And it's way harder for them. Yeah. Like if you have really close friends, you miss the shit out of them. So let's say you've got like a core group of 3, 4, 5, 6 buddies and they don't go to your college, dude, you miss them so much. Yeah. And then another thing that happens in that same lane is every guy that you meet at college that you could potentially be friends with, you go, oh, they're not as cool as my friends from home. Yeah. Oh, these guys are lame compared to my friend group at home. Yeah. And they don't end up being like, you end up being close with them, but at first they don't, because you've been friends with your friend group since, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade. Yeah. And so you've known these guys for your whole life. And now these new guys that you're meeting, like nobody compares. So you're like, oh, these guys are all lame. This sucks. So a lot of times you're like social butterfly that has so many friends, they can really struggle when they go back to college.
Yeah, I believe that. There was a period of, dude, my first day of college, my dad dropped me off. We moved stuff into my bedroom and or into my dorm. I met my guy. He handed me $100 bill and he said, go make friends. And so I just found somebody in the neighborhood where my college was at. I was like, hey, go buy me a 30-pack of beer. And we just found a way to make it happen and make friends, dude. Like it was nuts.
That's better than I did. My first day of college, I roll up. I didn't know my roommate is just some random. I think I was one of the first people that moved onto my floor. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, we'll just wait and see who's here. And a guy moved into the dorm room right across the hall from me and came over to introduce himself. And he was like a excited dog. And he was just like so excited to be there. And like, he was so nerdy and like so dorky and so obnoxiously annoying. Yeah. And I was so afraid he was going to latch on to me. I was like, oh my God, this is how it starts. Like this stage 4 clinger all of a sudden latching on to me. And like, this is it. And dude, I didn't make any friends for a 2-3 months. My first semester was really rough until I finally made my first friend on my floor. There's one guy that it worked out kind of funny because I didn't like my roommate and he didn't like his roommate. So like instead of being in my dorm room, I would literally just sit outside my door. I would just sit in the hallway by myself. And when people walk by, I'd say hi to them and like shoot the shit with anybody that walked by. And then this other dude didn't like his roommate, so he would just be out in the hallway too. So he and I met, and he ended up being really fucking funny. And I was like, oh, thank God, somebody funny. This dude was really funny. So that's how I made my first friend in college. Is we both hated our roommates.
Yeah, yeah. All of my friends decided. I won't say all of them, but a majority of them decided to go to Iowa. All right, and dude, I knew that was probably the first good decision based off of my life that I ever had. I knew that I could not go to Iowa. All my friends, I wanted to go to Iowa, but I had no self-control as a, 18-year-old. I knew that if I went to Iowa, there was going to be too many distractions and I would have been partied out. I would have partied out of that school in a heartbeat. It was too big for me. I knew that. So I knew that if I was going to go to college, I needed to go somewhere far away, and I needed to go somewhere where there was no like distractions, like the Ped Mall or like Saturdays were game days and things like that. And so I went to North Central Iowa, 4 hours from my home, 3 hours from Iowa City. And I still drove down there a lot on the weekends, but the weekends were the weekends, right? But during the week, there was nothing to do except study, except like play video games at night. I wasn't going out drinking every single night, right? Then I got like, dude, I was getting like a 3.5 GPA. And I was like, holy shit, which I needed because then I transferred to UNI. UNI has a bar scene. UNI has a lot more girls. UNI has all these things available to distract you. And so I came in to UNI with like a 3.5 something, 3.25. And then it was just right back into, not joking, the lowest possible GPA you could have to graduate college. And that was, and then I graduated. So I have a degree from a school. That doesn't mean shit because here's the deal, dude. I want to hear your thoughts on this. You want to be a lawyer? You need college. You want to be a doctor? You need some kind of college. Other than that, you can be trained to do any job, right? If maybe you want to be a biologist or something like that, you probably need some schooling. But if you want to sit in a cubicle and learn how to trade stocks or something like that, you could probably learn from another person in a business. And that is why I am telling, like, I have this conversation with my wife all the time. She really wants all the kids to go to college. Oh, you got to have college. I am the opposite. My daughter wants to be a lawyer, and she's like, I feel like I want to be a lawyer. I'm like, yep, you need to go to college for that. My other two boys, one wants to be a firefighter. I'm like, you don't need college for that. Maybe you got to go do a paramedics class or something. My other one, he's like, dude, I want to be an electrician or a plumber. You don't need college for that either. Right? You go to I guess you might need to go to a tech school to learn some of that or be an apprentice for something like that. And other than that, you don't need college, man. And I'm a huge proponent. I am in the position that I'm in where I don't need college. I don't use anything. I don't even know what college taught me, to be honest with you, other than how to space out 30 beers in 24 hours. Right. Just so I could be drunk for the long period of time without getting sick.
Yeah. Right. No, it's really tricky. I think college has lost a lot of its value. I think
100%.
30 years ago, it really was a great thing. And I think that it's just the business model of it is so shitty that they're just trying to wring every cent they can out of students. And it's so expensive for the students. I think there's so much middle management bloat in colleges and universities, there's all these positions that the students' tuition is paying the cost of. I think that's horrible. I think to your point, if you know what you want to do and it requires college, then yeah, for sure. If you know, so I'm a psychotherapist. If you want to be a therapist, you have to go to college and then you have to go to grad school. Cool, do that if you know that that's what you want to do. But there's so many folks out there that didn't even want to go to college, but they went, and they weren't even all that interested in their major, but they did it, and then they graduated and didn't even get a job in the field that their major was in. Like,
Right.
what a
100%.
waste of money.
100%.
The counter argument is that, like, oh, well, you learned a lot of other life skills in that time and had cool experiences and made friends. It's like, all right, if you think that's worth $90,000, and I think the price tag is actually high. Let's say that it costs $90,000 to go for 4 years of college. The other side of that is like the money that you weren't making. So you spent $90,000, but then you also didn't make any money for 4 years. So the price tag to me is bigger than the 60 to 90 grand that it cost to go to undergrad. It's also all the money that you didn't make. So by the time I graduated with my 4-year degree, I knew people that were already on their second house. They had went straight into the workforce, worked their asses off, had like already gotten promoted a time or two in their first 2 years, bought a house, and the next 2 years got promoted again, making even more money, sold their first house, bought their second house, and they're like doing really well, like way ahead of me. Then I graduate with my degree. I double majored in psychology and communication studies. You know what you can do with that? Nothing.
Yep.
I went and got a job that you didn't even need to have a college degree for. And then while I worked at that job, I learned that I wanted to be a counselor. And guess what? I had to go back to grad school for 2 years and pay to do that. Yeah. And guess what? All the time I was doing that, what the guys that went straight into the workforce were doing, moving up in their careers, getting promotions or hopping to the next job where they make more money.
Yep.
Dude, I was way behind financially because I did that.
Yep.
Sad.
I almost feel I would be better off in this world because it took me until I was like 33 to pay off my student loans. Right? That's however many years from high school removed, right? And you're paying this debt off of something you're not using, right? It's a depreciating asset, in my opinion. And so college is, I feel that if I was 25 again, 24 again, and I could take any knowledge back with me, I would feel extremely confident in my ability to live. Like, I'm going to sound a lot like Gary V right now, right? Old Gary V, right? He's like, dude, live in a trash can for 5 years, sleep on the ground, right? And then build a business. And I'm telling you, if you're motivated enough to want to be your own boss and build something, man, if you're single right out of high school, and even if it's like a power washing company or like all I do is lay concrete, you can build something in 5 to 10 years and you're going to be set, right?
Totally
set, dude. And so that's the kind of message that I am going to give my boys.
Yeah. I'm doing that as well. Anytime that my kids talk about like a thing that they like to do, like my daughter likes to do dance and she likes competitive cheer. I'm like, you could open a studio someday. You could own your own studio. So anything they talk about, I'm like, oh, you could own that. Oh, you could start that business. Instead of like, oh, you could go to school and work for someone else. Like working for somebody else ain't it a lot of the time. It's fine if you're doing something you really want to do, but if not, like fucking start something for yourself, especially the younger you can do it and get your first few iterations of it out of the way. I think it's awesome.
The other thing is that there are a lot of people who are perfectly okay with zoning out for 8 hours a day and going to a job. And maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's all their skill set allows, whatever the case is. There's people who are fine with it, and they're like, I will weigh this part of my life to be able to provide to my family. You know what I mean? And I don't care. This job sucks. I'm just a number. I understand that and I'm okay with it. And, like imagine this. This is what, my dad and also my father-in-law, they worked in companies for over 20 years, 25, 30 years in the single company. And when my dad retired, what they did, obviously he had his retirement fund and his medical through all the years were through the company, but he dedicated 30 years to this company and they gave him a cake at the end of his time there. My father-in-law worked for John Deere. Him on the other hand, he had a badass pension that he did, but still, at the end of the year, at the end of those 30 years he worked for John Deere, they gave him a watch, said John Deere on it, and it's just like, and then guess what? At the end of that time, nobody gives a shit that you worked there, right? Because your spot is now filled again, and life goes on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you've dedicated a gigantic part of your life to that. And that is why I have made the decision to work so hard on the podcasting game so that I can be with my kids. I can take off when I need to. I can set my own schedules. Hey, I want to go. You want to go to a basketball game or to a fun day at school? I don't have to ask shit. I just go. Right? I make my own schedule, and that's the life that I've chosen to live, dude. And that's the freedom of it. Right? I don't know if I could go back.
Yeah. Right. I hear you. It's funny. My stepson, school was not his thing at all. He's 25 years old now, I believe. And, so he didn't go to college. He got a full-time job that he hated but stayed there and went regularly, and so he became dependable. Then he ended up being able to like move around / up within the company, so he had like moved to a position that sucked less, moved to a position that sucked less, so on and so forth. And lived cheaply, lived with us for a long time, saved up a ton of money, and then bought a condo and got a couple of roommates that paid his mortgage for him.
Yep.
And so he's one of the kids that I was talking about, where the whole time I was going to college, he's building for himself. So like, he doesn't love his job, but dude, he's setting himself up better financially. So he's actually on his second condo now, and he has roommates that are paying his mortgage for him. So he's getting all this value from his condo. He goes to work full time. He just started a cleaning company where he basically, I mean, here's how easy it is to start a company. Essentially, like, if you have a website and say you've started a cleaning company, then people will reach out to you and say, hey, can you come clean my place? And then all he has to do is put out some advertisements like, hey, I'm looking for some cleaners for my cleaning company. And people that like have experience with that say, hey, I'd like to work for you. And he says, okay. So somebody contacts him as the company saying, hey, I need somebody to clean my place. And then he calls one of those employees and says, hey, go clean this place. Done.
Yep.
The people pay him the full fee. He keeps part of it. He pays his employees some, and he got to keep all of the money, the difference, just for creating a website, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's just, and it's getting bigger and bigger for him. And so then the more calls that he gets that people need help, the more employees he hires, and he's just making money, making more and more and more money. And this is a kid that like barely graduated high school.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
awesome. I got a friend who started a trash removal. It was just his truck and a trailer. And someone one day that knew him was like, hey man, I need some help. My mom is in the hospital or whatever. Can you clean this out? She's not coming back home. She's gonna have to live in a nursing home, whatever. I need you to clean this barn out. So he cleans the barn out, takes it to the dump. Another person sees him do that. He's like, hey, can you do my property next? And he's like, yeah, okay. It's going to be this much money. Okay. Yeah, cool. And then it's just like, he didn't even advertise. He didn't do anything. And now he's doing it full time. So and now he's making a ton of money, dude. And so I don't know. It's the world we live in, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. There's opportunities out there. There's a guy, entrepreneur guy I loosely follow. His name's Chris Corner. And his big saying is, you can just do things.
Yeah.
If you think that if there's any potential business ideas, like just do it. Who gives a
Yep.
shit? Just
Yep.
do it. This guy with the trash removal, junk removal. You can just
Yeah.
do it. You can just have a truck and a trailer and just be like, hey, I see you got a bunch of stuff back there. For this amount of money, I'll take it to the dump. And like, oh shit, please do.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cool thing is what I'm going to recommend is I'm going to recommend doing these things when you're young, you have no responsibility. Cause I started my business when I had 2 kids,
Yeah.
and that was not easy. Like I think I've told this story 100 times, right? 100 times. Like I get off work, play with the kids, they go to bed. Then I'm building my business from 9 to 1 in the morning. Right. And it's way easier now because of all the technology that's been advanced. But 10 years ago, there's a lot of manual stuff that had to happen. And, I can remember how tired I was in that time. But then, and then I struggled even when I got laid off from my real job, and I made the commitment to do this full time, and it worked. Right. And there's a lot of people who didn't believe in me. And there was a lot of people who were worried that I wasn't going to be making enough money to support this new family. Because at that time I had 2 kids and a brand new baby. So 3 kids, and it got weird for a while. Like it got really weird. But now, dude, you got to walk through the fire to get to the light, dude. It's crazy how if you put in the energy and effort and the commitment, good things happen. And that's not just in business, that's in relationships, that is in any form of life, man. These practices are, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Well,
love how
just
this
a quick,
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
There you
No, you
go.
go. No, you
Well, I
go.
was just gonna say a quick thought before I lose it. You said your daughter wants to be a lawyer someday.
Yeah.
You should look into mock trial. See if there's
Okay.
there's got to be mock trial places around, to get her into it, to introduce her to the concept of being a lawyer and what that looks like. My mom put me in mock trial when I was in, I must have been in junior high. And I was like really pissed that she did it because I didn't know any of the kids and I thought it was super
Yeah.
boring, but I ended up liking it and I learned a lot. So I know that
Yeah.
mock trial exists in the area. So that's a thing you could look into for her to
That's
give her some
awesome.
exposure to what it's
They
like.
they they do have some high school programs in the area, grades 9 through 12. So next year, if
Okay.
she's interested in it,
Yeah.
I always thought it would be cool to be a lawyer too, right, or an attorney. But what I found out is, I know a guy who is an attorney, and he's like, yes, being in the courtroom and having these like presentations and stuff in front of a trial is really awesome. And you feel like you're the man. But 90% of it is just paperwork. And then, or like digging into things and verifying and calling people and being like, hey, can you send me this paperwork or whatever? And then it's not like, I don't even know, like some Matthew McConaughey. What's that one where, uh, uh, the dad goes in and shoots up the guys who raped his daughter, and what's that movie?
Not
A
sure.
Time to Kill. A Time to
Oh
Kill.
yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
with Samuel L. Jackson, and it's not like being a lawyer is not like that, right? It's all like it's less. It's not Hollywood, and
Yeah.
so even though if it was, that'd be badass, dude.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I know
Do
the
that.
between me and you and everybody listening, I know the guy whose firm represented Stormy Daniels in the case with Donald Trump. Right?
Yeah.
They were representing her, and so it was what like the stuff he was saying was very interesting, like because
Oh, I
that's high
bet.
profile. But 90, like all the other stuff is just like reading. I would never be a good attorney because they'd be like, did you read that? No, didn't. No, sorry.
An
No,
insane amount of reading.
exactly.
Insane amount of reading. Yeah.
It's crazy how these conversations go from, hey, how's the stress from back to school going in your house, to, hey, I know a guy who represented Stormy Daniels.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's funny. I also think it's like this is cool for me because this is like the one time a week that I get to shoot the shit. And sometimes we do have specific topics that we talk about, but like with my line of work, I don't ever get to talk about what I want to talk about.
Right.
You know, which is totally fine. It's good. I understand my role is to talk about what the other person wants to talk about.
Yeah.
But like that's the only thing I ever talk about is what the other person wants to talk about. So it's fun to just be in a conversation where I don't have to constantly bring it back to your goals, what you're trying to work on, that sort of thing. It can just free flow. It's my one time a week to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing about this is, we get to talk about whatever we want, man. And maybe people listen, maybe they don't, who knows? But, I don't dig into the analytics too much on this episode because I almost use it as a therapy session as well. I want to kind of end it with this. As a dad getting ready to go back to school, what's bouncing around in your head? Like, what are you thinking about under the category going back to school?
I thinking about from the perspective of a father wanting to be involved and knowing and understanding what's going on in their lives so that I can be there to support them, because school is this entirely different life that they go to. You know, they go to a different life that you and I aren't privy to. And it's like their whole world. They have school and they have home, and they're at school more than they're at home of the time that they're awake. And so, you know, I don't want my kids to ever feel like they're doing it alone. Like it is definitely their path to walk, but I want to know who their friends are. I want to know who their teachers are. I want to know if there's anything that's bugging them at school. I want to know if anybody's like being mean to them. I want to know if they're being mean to anybody. I want to know like what their struggles are. I want to be there to guide. And I don't mean that I have a need to be in there manipulating. I just I want to be a good, healthy, trustworthy force for my kids so that they know that they can come to me to talk about anything, because I know a lot of kids go to school and feel like that's a whole separate world. They feel like nobody understands what they're going through. You're lucky if your kid's lucky if they're one of the kids that like has an easy go of it, because a lot of kids don't. A lot of kids get made fun of. A lot of kids get picked on. There's a lot of like relationship stuff that happens. In my experience, there's more of that with girls than boys. I don't know what your experience is with that, but I just like I want to be attuned to what they're going through. So that's what I'm gonna try and focus on.
Yeah. Honestly, man, I'm not too worried about my youngest boy. Like I mentioned, my oldest boy is the one I'm thinking about the most for the most part. Like he's the guy who he's the one who doesn't want to be there. He's the one who struggles in class. And so I'm thinking about him quite a bit right now and what I'm going to be able to do to support him so he can have the best experience there. And then at the end of the day, also realize that this is a very, very small part of his life. And yes, he's going to make some friends and some connections, but outside of that, dude, as a 45-year-old man, high school was a very small part of my life, right? It was a foundation of my life. I think a lot of the friends and the personality growth and things came from that time frame, which is important. But at the end of the day, like I don't hang out with too many of the people I went to high school with anymore, right? I have a couple friends that I keep in touch with, but outside of that, it's all of what's happening right now. The other thing that I am thinking about right now is my daughter. So something happened. What I'm thinking, she hasn't done anything bad, but I don't want her to get sucked into things possibly. Like just almost like a casualty of war type of a scenario where, okay, recently there was somebody who took, they have these little plastic baby dolls. And there was some kids and they put this plastic baby doll in a microwave and it melted the baby, right? The baby of that they put in was brown. Okay. Somebody made a comment on that and started turning it racial. Why did you do this? And then they start and then this whole thing happened where now the school has been involved with this, all because of somebody posted something online. Another person took it the wrong way, made a huge fuss about it, and, starting to throw the words racist around. And according to those kids that put the thing in the microwave, they were just doing dumb stuff, and that was the closest baby that they had. They didn't have a white baby per se. And so so all of this now disruption is happening, and my daughter made a comment to somebody else like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" And I'm like, "Be very careful, because if you get pulled into this, you might be associated with a certain group, whether it's one side or the other, and you just don't want that. All you want to do is stay out." To the point where coaches and teachers are sending emails saying, "Hey, listen, like, once you do something like this, it can be screenshot. It will be saved for a later date. People who don't like you will use it against you." And this whole thing, that's something that we never had to deal with when we were a kid. Right. And so there's a little bit of that I know my daughter's really smart. She's actually caring, has a big heart. But I'm going to have a conversation with her about what goes on the internet and what is like right now. I am managing her Instagram account. I have access to it, so I can see whatever happens on there, which is cool. But from that point, at some point she's going to have to do that herself. And I want to be the person who educates her on that.
Yeah. Amen. That's the thing that I've kept in mind from day one of parenthood. Before I had kids, I have had the thought of like, my kids are going to get exposed to a lot. I want to teach them before some dumb fifth grader gets the chance to. Yep. I'm going to tell my daughter the real information before some idiot fifth grader tells her something stupid. So she's going to know the stuff, and we're going to have the weird conversations, and she's going to know the real names for things, and she's going to know the common myths that idiot kids say, because I probably said them too, and my friends probably said them. And it's all the same wrong knowledge that gets passed down from idiot generation to idiot generation on the bus.
Yeah.
So I want to be the one that educates my kids about all of those things.
And to be honest with you, this is going to sound really weird, but as a dad to a 13-year-old girl, I know girls when I was in high school who lost their virginity when they were 13, 14 years old. Okay. That is, I don't know. Like, I don't know yet. That's still something that I know my daughter is not interested in right now, because she's told me I feel like I have a really good connection with her where we will respect each other. But going in, I think it might not be this year, but I really do think next year when she goes into high school, even this year, she's going to be practicing in wrestling with high school age girls, and they're going to have conversations. Right. And I don't know what those conversations are going to be, but all I know is like, hey, listen, if this happens, like, this is how this works. Like, I'm going to be very blunt. Like, boys at this age, they're not looking to be friends with you. They're not hanging out with you because you're so awesome. Right. And they want something from you. Right. And I'm not saying all guys are like that. Maybe there's a guy who really likes her for who she is, and they're going to date until they're 25 and then get married, and, like the perfect scenario for a dad. Right. But that's not how life works. And so I'm trying to find that time in my life to prepare her for uncomfortables. Like, if a boy touches you, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Right. Yeah. Like, you just say no. And if that's the case, then if they say, "Oh, I don't want to hang out with you anymore," well, good. Right. They're a piece of shit. So anyway.
Hey man, I'm with you.
Yeah. So I don't know. those are the crazy things that run through a psychopathic dad's head every day.
I mean, every dad's head, hopefully a caring dad's head. Yeah, that's all. I think about that stuff too, and I'm not looking forward to those types of conversations. I haven't had to have that direct like of a sex talk yet, but we've definitely had to talk about like, hey, I know that when you're scrolling videos, I know that every once in a while something inappropriate comes up, and there's no context for it, and let me explain a little bit about that. Like I'm wading into it as deeply as I need to, and I will go all the way when I have to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, another great conversation today. We covered some good points. We had a good catching up conversation. Again, to anybody who's listening, do us a huge favor. Go to the Man Therapy Instagram page. And if you have a topic that you would like us to discuss, or you have a question for Kyle, who is the professional about how to handle certain situations, whether it's your situation or a family situation, we would be more than happy to talk about it and give our points of view. Also, go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you download the Man Therapy podcast, and give us a 5-star review. Let everybody know that this is an educational and entertaining podcast. And outside of that, everybody have the best day of your life. Good vibes to everybody. Kyle, good vibes to you and your family. And we'll talk to you when we talk to you.